Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to take a look at 15 ways to say, I don't understand in a professional environment, whether it's on work calls, in in-person meetings, in casual conversation at work, or in a very important meeting. So we're going to look at 15 alternatives to I don't understand. Let's jump in. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Melissa B. Duarte. I am the author of the Global Business English Mastery Series, and my background is in big business. I've worked for major companies throughout the United States, the UK, Canada, and Australia. I know global business English, and I've spent the last 7 years dedicated to training business English students worldwide. So let's jump in. Okay. First, we're going to take a look at more formal ones. These are ones you can use with clients, with senior meetings, a bit more formal sessions. The first one is, I'm not sure I'm following. And this means when you don't need someone to repeat because it's not their speed, it's the words they're using, you don't understand. You say, I'm not sure I'm following, or I don't think I'm following. This means please repeat what you're saying, but paraphrase it. This is fantastic to use. Another great one is, can you clarify that for me? Meaning, again, you're not asking them to repeat it. You're not saying, I don't understand. You're saying, make it clearer for me. And they will respond with a paraphrase of what they initially said. So this is a really great one that can be used in all sorts of settings. Another one would be, would you mind explaining that in a bit more detail? Which means, and this is kind of nice because it means I want you to repeat what you said, but explain each part in greater detail. So even if your language level is missing a couple key pieces, they'll be explaining things in so much detail, you'll probably pick up on what they're saying or what they're needing. So this is a really good go-to for those who are doing international meetings, or maybe your English level isn't so high. The next one would be, I'm not quite clear on that point. So if someone's going through a plan for next quarter and they get to a certain point and you just don't know the vocabulary, or their accent is thick, or you truly didn't understand something, maybe you had a bad connection, you can say, I'm not quite clear on that point. And by saying that point, it means that last thing you just said. Another great one is, could you run that by me again? Now this means, please repeat what you just said. So if you knew all the words, but the accent was thick, it was a little fast, maybe your connection came in and out, or you just need to hear it again, this is what you say. Instead of saying, please repeat that, which is very basic, we would always say in business English, and native speakers would say, can you run that by me again? Or could you run that by me again? Makes it a bit more polite. Another way is when you're hearing something from someone, you want to say it back to them to make sure you've actually understood correctly. So a good one here would be, I want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. And then you just say back what you think you heard. And that's going to help you double check that you heard and understood exactly what they were trying to express. The last one that kind of fits in this group would be, can I just check I've got that right? And it's exactly the same as I want to make sure I understand correctly. And so you're going to say, can I just check that I've got that right? And you're going to re-say what they've just said to you. So this is a great way to check that you've understood correctly. Okay, so this next group is a little bit less formal. This is great when you're talking to your colleagues on projects and teams, casual but professional business environments. All these kind of help to build rapport. Rapport means relationship in business, and it's not so formal. So here's some good ones we can use in almost any setting that's a little bit more friendly or neutral. One would be, I don't quite get it. And to get something in English means to understand it. So you can say, I don't quite get it. And that just means I don't totally understand what you're saying, or I don't quite understand where you're going with your idea. So that's great. Another good one is, sorry, I'm a bit lost. And if you say I'm a bit lost, it means I'm not understanding the situation or the words you're using. And this is quite a nice way of saying I'm a bit lost, and they're going to take your hand verbally, and they're going to guide you and explain what they are trying to express or what you need to understand. So that's a really nice way to say, I'm not understanding. And they'll paraphrase and they'll break it down for you. They'll probably speak slower too. Another great one is that went right over my head. In English, we can do this. And this is a full statement. This means that went over my head. It means I don't understand it. But you don't have to do this. You can actually say the words and say that went right over my head, which means I did not understand any of that or very little of that. It's a great one. Another good one, which is a little bit more professional than the previous ones I've just mentioned, is can you break that down for me? Now, in English, to break something down, again, these are phrasal verbs, there's multiple meanings. But in this context, to break something down means this is all the information. I need you to give it to me piece by piece by piece. Break it down means to make it very digestible, very easy and organized in a way someone can understand. So that's great. Can you break that down for me? And then the last one kind of in this section would be, I missed that. Can you go over it again? Meaning I missed that last part, whether you had bad connection, again, you didn't understand, they were speaking quickly, or their accent, you say, I missed that. Can you go over it again? So here, when you ask someone to go over something again, they won't just say what they said in the exact same way. They'll go over it again, they'll repeat it, and they'll tend to give a longer explanation or longer details. So this is a great way to get more information from a certain bit of context. Okay, now we're down to the last category here, and this is kind of a bit more modern, a bit more edgy, a little bit less buttoned up collar. This is great for startups, teams with a relaxed culture, creative agencies, when you want to sound a bit more collaborative or expressive with your teammates or your colleagues, clients, even your boss, depends on your work environment. So a great one is, I'm not following 100%. And this just means zero of what you said has come through to me and I'm not understanding it. So I'm not following 100%. This is just great when someone's speaking and explaining something, any questions, or do you get where I'm coming from? And your response is, I'm not following 100%. By giving that response, the person is going to then reword every single thing they said. And as they reword it and give it back to you, they're going to check with you to make sure you've understood what they've said. Another great one you can use is, I'm not on the same page yet. And this means that you've described everything to me, you're speaking to me, and I'm not on that same page of the book as you are at the moment. And this means I don't understand, or I'm not following exactly where you are in the conversation. So if someone's describing their forecasts for Q3 and they're using language maybe you don't understand, and they say, hey, what does everyone think? And you can come back saying, I'm not on the same page yet. And this means from everything you've just described, I need a bit more information. So what they're going to do is they're going to take everything they just said to you and they're going to double on it. They're going to give you more information on each part. So that's quite a good one. And two more we have. The next one is, you lost me there for a sec. Now this is if you're having a meeting, a discussion, a group call, even in person, and everything's going quite well, but maybe one sentence, one word is just over your head. You didn't catch it. Then you can say, you lost me there for a sec, meaning I didn't get that last sentence or that last word. So what they'll do here is they'll repeat exactly what they said. And then if that doesn't help, then you can say, can you spell that out for me? And to spell something out, like cat, C-A-T, is a bit different in business English. To spell something out means, can you describe this to me in detail? So hopefully here you found some great alternatives to I don't understand that you can use in your professional life.